entities of the Whirlpool portal. A short story written by Dylan Ross. Chapter 1. The Abandoning of Zahn Resort. Preparing to travel to the deserted and ancient remains of his family's fortune, Eli reflects on the legacy of his surname Zahn, specifically of the rise and fall of his great-grandfather's treasured magnum opus, Zahn Resort. Zachary Zahn, known infamously as King Zahn, was a man of whose pure direct drive and determined fixations all led toward taking this motel to a deep, dark, downward end. King Zahn's obsessive, excessive expansion of his hotel empire enterprise came at the cost of all of his friends, family, and fellow co-workers and contributors. And who can blame good old Zach the King for wanting to bigger his precious creation? He did, after all, start the resort all from scratch so that the future of his family Zahn can have a legacy intact. The entire decade of the 1950s was the golden era of the Young Majesty's modern motel palace, becoming the most large, expansive, and greatest grand hotel of all time. There's never been anything like it before or since. This behemoth of a project required a motley crew, so Zach brought on board his older brothers, who are working with their little bro after serving World War II a few years prior. Also later brought on were some of the King's high school buddies from the 40s helping out. But then Zach also added on some of his younger Zahn sisters, in addition to their larger group of fellow female friends, lending in some talent. Amongst this group of girls was Talia, a younger woman driven by her designing craft. This struck Zach with loving infatuation, which would later transition into becoming her beloved. This love would then take the form of a child, when Talia becomes the mother of the King's son, Neo Zahn. Born and raised in his father's suite, Neo grew up in lavish surroundings, with life being introduced in an environment of maximum industrial potential. As the years went by, Neo was shown by his dad the ins and outs of every nook and cranny in managing such a high-end motel. But as he was taught, Zach was actually guiding Neo toward his eventual takeover, and once Neo finally reached adulthood around the late 70s, he was then legally allowed to run the resort. But however, though, the King's ruling pride won't allow himself to fully pass the reins on to his son, so he ended up allowing his offspring to co-manage with him for a while, which Neo approved of as he felt himself not quite ready for his reign. Months pass and Neo begins to realize his potential isn't being fulfilled or utilized by being leader of a luxurious palace he hadn't begun. He wanted to branch out and forge his own path, and find and explore the world outside this cramped box he's been caged in. He fully came to this conclusion once he met the love of his life, Olivia. Finding her outside the hotel, she showed him how he can reach success further from his trapped realm. But once Olivia suddenly gives birth to Neo's own son, Eric, Neo then knew he must finally, fully flee away to figure out his own aspirations. He later told his father, and he simply reacted in mournful and partful glances, with an expression showing some sense of approval of wanting the best for Neo and his new family. Taking this semi-consent as a yes, Neo parts away from Zahn Resort with his wife and son to pursue his new passion. 1 week later, and the King himself has completely disappeared after being stuck in a dead trance, never showing signs of movement or energy. A few years later, though, at the start of the 80s, Zachary Zahn was pronounced dead, with the beginning of new leadership at this famous motel. It was now Eli's great-granduncles and aunts who begun running the resort back to the status quo, which mainly included Uncle Finn, Zod, and Nacho, with some help from Aunt Izzy and Florence. Many decades later, around the 2000s, each of the King's siblings, friends, and especially widow, each slowly die out. This was mainly due to exhaustion, caused by the family overworking themselves at an elderly age. When the news reached the living Zahn relatives, Eric refused to gain inheritance from that place, instead choosing to let it stand the rust and dust of inactivity to finally bring closure to the damned legacy of its ambition. However, Eric never told or stated that his own successor cannot obtain this prize, since he strongly believed in one's independent choice. This makes his son, Eli, eligible as the next rightful heir to the throne of King Zahn Resort. Chapter 2: Gathering of the Grand Opening Pool Party. Recently turning 18 years old, Elijah Zahn is indeed long since ready for his future of using resources from the past. With his elderly father Eric not entirely aware or not caring enough to stop it. Now, even though Eli doesn't exactly know in a long-term sense what he'll do with this newfound property yet, he does definitely know, however, how he'll utilize it today. Ideas flowed through his friend, Todd Vaughn, in the vastly various ways you can begin running such a facility. The one the two best friends and spiritual brothers settled on is a celebratory pool day opening, with both buddies' female mates coming on this semi-double date, with these girlfriends being the Dunn sisters, Daisy and Roxie. Eli steps through the sidewalk, marching forward toward the giant truck being driven by Todd, which complements his large presence and personality. Now that's a hell of an entrance, Todd. You must want everyone to know you're here.
People must know that royalty is arriving and the throne will cometh return.
Todd bows down, stretching his arms towards Eli.
You may enter my abode, your majesty.
Don't patronize me, Steward Toad.
Oh, my Lord Zahn, what a most honorable title.
Go grovel at my feet, you worshipping tool.
How about graveling this feat?
Todd zooms madly forward through the street like the speed demon he is, stopping at the Dunn doorstep at an incredibly impressive quick arrival time. They then knock at the door that would soon open to show the dazzling, attractive beauty of both Dunn sisters. These two twins, despite being clearly related, were both, in a way, opposites, with their differing personalities clashing. But since they are still sisters, they were also incredibly similar, as siblings should naturally be when biological. Daisy Dunn was a woman of mysterious mystique and grace. Her elegance struck Eli immediately, as her hair flowed flawlessly in the wind, meeting those bright, beautiful eyes as she turned toward him. They then chatted, with Eli learning more about her, and realizing the true love and passion they'll further reach once they know each other more and more deeply. Daisy was one girl of passion for her creativity in her art and imagination, able to see her sketches before she even ever draws or colors those designs. She also has a calm and collected manner with a deep, thoughtful tone and a dash of clever, darkish humor, and a striking glance of understanding of one's character. Together they can accomplish greatness, while Eli can be inspired by ambitious, audacious ideas. Daisy can fully realize them with her visionary imaginings. Together they can become both a fully realized force of artful nature. Roxanne Dunn was also a girl of passion, but in the emotional sense, having strong, firm feelings and beliefs. When Roxie's rageful, saddened, or joyously chuckling, she expresses these emotions to their fullest extent so everyone knows what she's feeling. Being this expressive and lively allows her to connect with others easily, including her eventual lover, Todd. When he first met her after Eli started dating her sister, Daisy, they formed a fast, emotional, and creative connection, with her charismatic, dramatic acting talents sparking successive ideas in succession of one another. This, of course, then led to a passionate attraction in the next steadfast forwarding of the next stage of their relationship. In terms of her dramatic artistry, she has her talents in roles involving emotional monologues and playful banter galore. The Dunn door proceeds to open wide, with the bodies of the twin sisters walking right through it, arriving next to each other. Both boyfriends opened the car doors for both their girlfriends to enter in true gentleman form. Todd then travels through to the driver's seat with Roxie next to him in the passenger seat, as well as Eli entering out to the back seats with Daisy.
Ready to rev it up to paradise, baby?
Sure I am, Foxy Roxie.
Ooh, now that's one freshly feisty name, Tender Toddy.
They both share a passionate kiss as Eli and Daisy discuss amongst themselves.
You know, my strangeness is still right, though. This will indeed be a paradise. A pool paradise kingdom, which for now is a dead, dusty corpse, but will become a mystic dynasty with my majesty running it.
You're right, babe. The Zahn hierarchy of power is about to become paradise. Eli proceeds to lift Daisy's hand to kiss it. Rev it up, Toad!